Greetings, YouTube. Let's talk about the mundane, or to be more specific, the magical mundane. Magic items that emulate mundane items in the real world, or magic items that have an effect which is definitely not cinematic. One that's never going to probably see any use in combat, though I will, put a caveat there that there are very creative people out there. And examples of things I've used before are pots and pans that heat themselves, wicked useful, or say a fist-sized red garnet that can heat up like a campfire, but produce no light. That'd be wicked useful. Things like that. Self-filling water skins and tankards of ale that fill themselves, X number of times a day. Every alcoholic's favorite gift. But one in particular I thought I'd introduce. It's one I've kind of just come up not long ago in my head. It kind of tickles my fancy. I'm not 100% sure why. Maybe because I eat a lot of apples. But I want you to imagine a small leather satchel, about the size of a brown paper bag you take to lunch. It's drawstring, made of good quality leather, and on the outside is embossed an apple tree. And once around, we're talking Pathfinder or D&D here, or at least the D&D I know, every 6 seconds you can open the bag and draw out an apple. And you can choose what kind of apple it is before you draw out the bag. Kind of get a mental image and you get it. If you don't have a mental image, it'll simply be the same type of apple as the last time you chose. Or you could just tell it to be random. Hand me a random apple. And there are lots of apples in the world, so you could be pleasantly surprised or disgusted, for example, if you really don't like Granny Smiths. And how can you use this bag of apples? Of course, well, it'll keep you from starving to death, though you may be really bored quickly. It will probably keep you from dying of thirst because apple juice is juice, and if you have enough apples, you can make enough liquid to keep you going. I'm not saying it's going to keep a lot of people going, but it could definitely keep a single person alive for a very long time. You're going to make you very popular with horses. Horses love apples. They can't live on them, but they do love them. And if you always have one with you, that might mean that you have a better way of cozying up to a horse. Good for baking, good for cooking, things like that. Potentially, if you are in an area of the world where apples are rare, you could sell apples because in that situation, in that climate, they are an exotic fruit. They don't see them often. It's in a place that you can't grow them naturally. Say it's a tropical jungle or a desert or an Arctic. So you're dealing with like Inuits. They might find apples really useful. Now would apples help with scurvy? I know citrus does. I'm sure apples wouldn't hurt. I mean, people on a ship would love the fact that they had fresh fruit available. That would make you very popular. But I don't know if they would help with scurvy. Like I said, they couldn't hurt. They may help. They may have some vitamin C in them. But again, making you very popular on board a ship. So these are just some of the ways I've thought of using the bag of apples. So I'd like to hear how you would use the bag of apples. Also, I would like to hear your mundane magic items. Magic items that emulate real-world things or produce very mundane effects that were not, at least initially, all that useful in combat. Maybe you are particularly good at throwing apples and you can use them in combat. I don't know. I've never really think I've ever thrown an apple in that regard to actually hit something or someone with it. I've tossed eggs before, not quite the same thing. So let's talk about the magic of the mundane and my particular entry into this, the bag of apples.